Hello and welcome to Asia Gaming Brief's Face-to-Face series. Today I'm talking with Professor Wolfgang Arlt, who is the founder of the China Outbound Tourism Research Institute. We're going to be talking about the ongoing zero-COVID policies in China as the rest of the region and the world opens up to tourism without the Chinese. Wolfgang, thank you very much for joining us again today. It's great to have you with us.
Thank you.
Just wanted to get your perspective again on this dragging situation with China. And, let's start off with, are you surprised it's lasted this long?
Yes, I think, I don't think anybody has been thinking in February 2020, when the borders were closed, that this is something which will still go on in the middle of 2022. This has been obviously very bad for many businesses, and it has been bad for China as well. And it is something, we were all surprised globally that the pandemic took us 2 years, but that China would be the place where it even drags on after now the rest of the world is happily back on holidays, and we see now rather we have too much of a good thing with all the queues at the airports, and the people in Barcelona already complaining of overcrowding and so on. And China is still closed, and even transportation between provinces in China is restricted in many cases. And of course, if you want to travel to China now, I checked a few days ago, the airline prices for air tickets, you still have to pay 8,000 euros for an economy class ticket if you get one, and if the flight is not canceled last minute. So it is so absolutely ridiculous. So therefore, no. Anybody who say I saw that coming is, I think, not telling the truth.
So interesting point you just brought up there, though, that, frankly, the world is rebounding even without China. Did we learn any lessons? We talked about rebuilding sustainable tourism. And I know I was talking to a taxi driver in Barcelona last week who was saying that he thinks it's at least 90% back to where we were before. And this is without the Chinese market.
Yeah, of course, this depends which parts of the world you're speaking about. So for Europe, yes, there is such a strong demand of the Europeans to travel, and many people didn't have the opportunity to spend money on traveling in the last few years. So even the prices are higher. Lots of people say, okay, I want to indulge myself. I want to do something more special, and certainly I want to travel. So therefore, this increased travel wish of the Europeans in Europe can fill up the empty seats from Chinese and also Russians as well. But if you talk about Thailand, if you talk about Vietnam, if you talk about South Korea, if you talk about the Maldives and many other places, there is quite another story. And of course, if you talk about casinos, know perfectly well how important the Chinese are for this part of the industry. So therefore, what we have learned, unfortunately, a lot of these lofty ideas and wonderful speeches which were made during the pandemic seems to have been quickly forgotten once business is looming again. And so we see that in many cases, so nothing has been learned. I mean, probably the most important point is that we've seen now that our employees working the service industry, they gave us a finger. So they ran away from us and they say we won't come back because we found you can earn the same amount of money Monday, Friday, 9 to 5, sitting down, not being shouted at, no overtime. So in many other jobs. So why should we come back to work in the tourism industry where you have to work on the weekends and extra time and payment is not better?
Let's just take it back to China. So staffing issues, a whole new and very fascinating area. But just to keep it in China for a minute, do you think there is still pent-up demand there? Or after 2.5 years of being trapped at home, do you think home tourism is something that's rising on the agenda?
No, they clearly, for Chinese people, like for everybody else, they are eagerly waiting for the borders to open up. Of course, and as usual, tourism is not only leisure tourism. So you have a lot of people in China waiting to travel internationally again for business reasons, for health reasons, students who want to go to the universities abroad, the grandparents of a grandchild, which the daughter got while she was a student and stuck in Germany, and she got a baby, and they haven't seen the baby for 2 years, and they want to see the baby now, and all the kind of family stories. So it's not only leisure tourism, but of course also for many people, this is something where they want to travel abroad. It is true that domestic tourism has gained also in prestige. So the Chinese have found that there are many nice places also in China. And of course, it is no longer the case that if you travel domestically, that is a sign that you're too poor or too stupid to travel internationally. So that has changed. So China has become a competitor for all the other destinations.
So what's the different way?
Well, from all the surveys we have done and many other people have done, you can see they had a lot of time now to gather information about different destinations, and also maybe the pandemic taught everybody how fragile life is and how short. So you can see many Chinese are saying they're more interested in nature-oriented tourism. They're interested in going to new places, to smaller places. Shopping is less important than before. Experiences are more important. Doing something, learning something, wine tasting or culinary tourism has become more important. Health tourism has become more important. So all the special interest things, and also there was one survey saying that 7% of the Chinese still say, I want to travel in a standard package tour. So 93% don't want to do that anymore. So traveling in small groups, either self-organized or organized by a tour operator, but after your specific demand. So not being hostage of the tour guide anymore. So this is a big change.
Let's bring this back to the integrated resorts around Asia, very big properties. We've got all of the trends that you've just spoken of, coupled with China's desire to stop its people going abroad for gambling. What can they do? Do they still have a place?
Yes. I mean, that is the Chinese will not stop having an interest in gambling. So that's for sure. It will be, it will be the case that you have to offer different things to different Chinese parts of the market. So I think this, so you will have to go away from the question, what do the Chinese want? Because as I just said, a 60-year-old guy with international experiences is different from a 25-year-old Shanghai stockbroker. They want to be treated in different ways and offer different things. And so you will have to be more careful than before in making sure that they feel welcome, that they feel respected, and that they are treated in the way they want. So saying that, yes, probably we have been talking about this before the pandemic, and I think it hasn't changed. The key point is to make this not looking like this is what the old guys do. So to convince the younger people that this is something which is still interesting and fun and good entertainment, and it's not just something my father and my grandfather do. That's why I don't. So this is I think the challenge which was there before, and this challenge has not gone away. But I think if you take good care of understanding the new trends in the market and understanding that you may have different stories to tell to different parts of the market, then yes, there is still a future for sure.
So that's just sort of slightly related to that. I mean, obviously, China's one of its major preoccupations for the last few years has been people taking money out of the country for whatever reason. Gambling obviously was a major one. Do you think some of this closure of the borders is really playing into the government's policy? Would it rather keep it this way, that domestic tourism was prioritized?
That is a question which has been discussed a lot, and I've been reading some people saying, especially foreigners in China, the borders will be closed until 2025 or forever, or there will be never again outbound tourism. And well, after 2 months in lockdown in Shanghai, I can understand why people have this kind of ideas. But clearly, even so, the Chinese government is not elected by the people in the way that they have to fear that they will lose the election. Still, the Chinese government has to keep the Chinese people happy, especially the top 10%. There's the affluent, the important people, and they want to travel for sure. And this is one of the freedoms you have as an affluent Chinese. You can have your own car, you can send your child to the university abroad, and you can travel internationally. So these are key elements of your personal freedom. And so the Chinese government might prefer if they could stop people from traveling internationally for leisure. But I think the demand, the pressure from the demand is so strong that also the government has to follow that.
Okay. Is there anything else you would like to add? I think we've summed everything up there.
Well, I think your question, okay, what can integrated resorts do? Diversify. So offer more different things to do, and so it is the same as in discussion before. Hotels say, as long as you think a hotel is you only sell beds, then you don't understand what hotels are actually able to do, what are the potential of running a hotel. And I think for an integrated resort, it's the same. So of course, gaming is a key part of the offer. But if you offer other things as well, that will make it more attractive for diverse market segments. So I think that is something which will be also that will happen in the whole industry.
Thank you for joining us today. Please join us every Friday for our series of interviews with thought leaders in Asia's gaming industry.